Good morning, everyone. It's me. Welcome back to my channel. I am Lacey. This is Last Minute Lacey. I know I don't do that, but hey, let's try something new. Anyway, I hope you're well. Today is October 17th, 2025 at 9:26 a.m. I'm going to be addressing two questions that I get commonly asked. One of them, anyway, that I didn't actually address yet. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to address a question that was asked to me, and then I'm going to, I'm going to add some videos because I've addressed these things, and it may be a lot. Some of my videos might be a lot. Again, I am only here, I'm not like teaching, because I don't really know things well to teach them properly. Like, say, Santos Bonanchi does, for example, okay? He's quite good. He's quite a good teacher, all right? Because he understands things quite thoroughly. But I'm here sharing my journey with you as I'm learning, and I'm sharing what I'm learning and realizing and discovering along the way, you know? I'm not an expert at anything, and I don't believe that anybody is. Okay, I think that we're all learning and growing, and I think that our perspectives and our just overall ideals can change. Okay, even if we don't expect them to in a certain way. So, first of all, let's see. So, I want to address this question. Now, it's quite long, but we're going to do it in little parts. And what it is, this is common, and I thought that too. I got stuck on this for a little while too, so I will help you out. A lot of this, let's start off here. So a lot of this has to do with the Claustrom's oil. I made a playlist about this, which is very thorough from a bunch of different teachers that I learned from. Okay? And there's this lady called Kelly Ann Kerr, I think. Kerr, I think. I always mess up her last name, but her first name is Kellyanne. Okay? She's got a few books, but all of her videos is what I watched. All right? And I found them very beneficial. There's some from her, and a couple other people that I just cannot remember at this time. P.S. This morning at 7:15, I got startled out of my sleep by the freaking garbage man having a fight with somebody, like an argument. So I jumped out of bed, put on my glasses, like, what the hell? Who's fighting? Looked out the window. It's the fucking garbage man fighting with somebody. Anyway, I couldn't tell who they were fighting with because it was already almost over. I couldn't see the other person. But anyway, that's how I woke up this morning. Like, good morning. Okay, so the Claustrom's oil playlist I made. It will be in the description. I'll also post it in the pinned comment. Always check those things, okay? Because there'll be some stuff for you there to continue your journey in discovery and learning with all of this, okay? I have debated in my mind if this is kind of like giving people cheat codes, okay? But there has been so much deception and confusion and people being turned around, misdirected, this and that there has to be some type of balance to it. And if you remember, there are beings, this is all connected, there are beings that left a message that in the end says, we oppose deception. Remember that in that field? I talked about it a few times before. It always stuck with me ever since I first saw it, but it had come back again because it was reminding me that what I was going through, like they had warned of, like I do believe that to a degree, this is a test. And part of being in a prison planet, being in prison is rehabilitation. Okay? Remember that. It's not necessarily, it is punishment in a way for wrongdoings, okay? Or karma, yes. But it's more so to be really rehabilitated, Think of this as prison, but prison, like jail, is a microsystem to the macro system that is what we call Earth. Whether you're at the part where it's a planet or a plane, well, you'll get there. Once you start understanding about dimensions too, it opens it up. All right, so I've digressed enough. I'm gonna say, so this question, I understand simply looking for in a world of insanity. Yes, and it is. It's an insane world where everything is backwards and things are turned around, play on words and all this nonsense. So I really do hope that, this helps. All right. So this is a question, like I said, I've asked myself. But if these are interdimensional beings, like spirits, why do they need UFOs? Why do they need flying vehicles? Why would they need that? I know. I asked myself that a lot too. Now, it has again to do with the Claustrom's oil. This also doesn't just go for good people. There's black kundalini as well. Dark and light. Yes. So this doesn't also apply just to us. It's been past civilizations and other beings from other places. Okay? Which would be known as interdimensionals. There are elementals and stuff like that. Okay? But as far as aliens go, like we're like from another planet or another star system, doubtful. Now, extraterrestrial means extra land dwellers. So there may be extra land where they live on. All right? But I digressed again. I'm sorry. So the answer to the question, okay, with the Claustrom's oil and all that, it's the combination of spirit and matter, like mind, body, and soul. You're combining all of these things. So not only this is why they say sometimes these beings can become physical. And sometimes they'll walk right through the wall the next minute. They'll high five you and then they'll walk right next through the wall, out the wall. They don't need a door. And it's because they can transmute themselves from physical to spiritual format. I know. There's only so much, and we have to let them speak for themselves. That's a part I was going to talk about eventually, and I hope I remember, because I'm not an ambassador. I never claim to be anything. I'm just like everybody else, trying to figure out my life and my journey, and I happen to be sharing it with people as I go. Okay? Because when I started this, I had no idea what that being in my room was, thought it was an alien, and it's blossomed into something that I always hoped it would become, but never expected, okay? So, there was I gotta get my book and show you. So, there was something on the internet that is no longer there. It was deleted. And yes, I know, Wikipedia, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of compromised. A lot of people think that it's run by the CIA. Okay. But there was something on Wikipedia called initiation. I remember when I heard this word, Cliff High said it. And I'm like, because he goes, welcome to your initiation. And I was like, what the heck is initiation? Like, what do you mean? What are you welcoming me to? So I went to go look it up. Luckily, I saved initiation. Not only in pictures, I made a video of it, and the updated format before they wiped it off the internet completely. You cannot find this anymore. I don't even know if people put it on the Wayback Machine. I hope so, but I'm not 100% correct. But anyway, I have it. And just let me find it here. No, I went past it. But what it is it's almost like a reconstructed thing. This is knowledge that comes from the East. Like it's combined of Hinduism, the knowledge of cycles, of time. Let me see here. It was actually started in Theosophy. And Helena Blavatsky, I know, this book was stuck behind the bookshelf. I didn't know. So it's like all kinds of messed up right now. Oh my goodness. I know. I feel really bad about it, but I will fix it. You just got to put a bunch of heavy books on top. So the secret doctrine is more so, it says the origin and evolution of the universe explained in terms derived from Hindu concept of cyclical cycle development, okay? Like rise and fall of ages and stuff like that. This it goes into quite in detail. This book, I'm going to be honest with you, went a little bit over my head, okay? It's a bit advanced. But a version of it here is called Initiation. And, okay, initiation is a concept in theosophy that there are 9 levels of spiritual development, almost like soul school, grade 1 through 9. Yes? Soul school. Spiritual of 9 levels of spiritual development that beings who live on Earth can progress upward through. Within these levels, there are 4 basic levels of spiritual development that human beings progress through as they reincarnate, right? Cycles. Although evil acts may cause bad karma, which may cause one to temporarily regress, and I can make a testimony to that is absolutely correct, because I was something much different before, and I can go into just the vast contrast of how everything in my life from before is different now. Okay? It is very important. When I said that I've known that I was in hell for a while, now you may not be. There may be different levels, but you're still in this prison planet with me. You're not out there with them. So you're in the you're in rehab in this prison planet with me. I apologize. Like, I just woke up. My mouth isn't even moving properly yet. And I know, well, why don't you wait? Because I do my best thinking in the morning. That's why. So it has, it is believed that when souls have advanced to the 4th level of initiation, they have reached enlightenment and have no further need to reincarnate here. You move on to other things. So at the 5th level of spiritual initiation and beyond, souls have the opportunity to become members of the spiritual hierarchy. This is when you join the Galactic Federation shit. It's okay. So when I say that, you think automatically what Elena Danaan talks about. No, this is just her perspective and experience with it. But we're going to continue with the comment. I'm actually going to answer the freaking question. So it says here in this, the exact answer why they need that. And I believe it is 7 or 8. Okay, it's 7. It is the Bodhisattva, avatar, or Christhood. I was talking about the Claustrum's oil, rising to the crown. This is so important. They hide this at every level. They don't want you to know. And there's more to it that I made from my Tartaria video with the Mercury thing, with the 2 snakes and the thing that also represents the Claustrum's oil and the Christed beings of the millennial reign. So it says here, at this level, they have the ability to teleport any place in the solar system. Remember, I am not, even certain planes, there's the plane of Jupiter. This is why Elena Danaan had said, there are aliens on Jupiter, but they live in another dimension. Play on words, okay? There might be certain places that are, anyway, I don't want to complicate, so I'm going to finish. Okay. However, that unless one is in a hurry, this is the answer, it's simpler, easier, and uses less energy. It does take a lot of energy to teleport places. You need to rest. You need to eat. Okay. So the other night in the spiritual realm, I got a little bit of a boost, and I had a feast. And man, was I ever eaten. They were laughing at me too, because I didn't realize, like, it's so weird to go from a place where you have to pay for food, and like, it was like a buffet, but I was just like an animal hoarding my tray of food. It was crazy, and they were chuckling at me, like, you don't have to be like that. But I didn't understand. But my body and my spirit got nourished. When you eat etheric food, your etheric body gets healed and nourished, okay? But when you're in physical form, you've got to eat food. So when they're in physical bodies, they have to eat, they have to go to the bathroom, all of that. And so a lot of them don't like to do that anymore, right? Like, even at my age, like, I'm annoyed with all that. Like, every day I'm like, do I have to think of something to cook and eat today? Fuck. So imagine being 500. Oh, what the hell am I going to eat today? You'd rather just not do it anymore. Fuck it. You know? But it uses less energy just to take a flying saucer. So your energy consumption, like, you still have spiritual energy. This is how I would use my etheric spiritual energy to shoot lightning out of my fucking hands. I mean, it looks like that, but really it's a controlled energy burst. Directed energy from myself. It's my etheric life force energy. Okay? But that's why it's called the Avatar. That's why the Avatar in Avatar The Last Airbender has all those powers, because it's the combination of elements within and outside of you as well. So it's earth, air, fire, and water. But I'm going to make a video and explain, because I lost 53 minutes of content, okay? I lost it because Veed screwed up. So if it screws this up, like, you'll never see this. But it's not that great. The other content was fantastic. Now that this isn't going as great as anyway, I'm sorry. It just sucks. So the beings at this level of invulnerability, so they wouldn't be affected if you shot them with a bullet or the detonation of a nuclear bomb. You couldn't hurt them. So that's why. It's about energy. They use these craft. They're not just spirits. And if you understand it, like, it's about the left and the right brain. It's about the heart and the mind. It's about the dark and the light, but also your spirit and matter in one. That's what it is. So these beings, a lot of them have done this, regardless of what they look like. And these civilizations past have all had this chance. Now, it talks about, I forgot to look up that quote, but just let me finish this. We'll talk about this comment first. Okay. So why do they need flying vehicles, of which I've been taken on? See, there's a lot of things that people hear that contradicts their own experiences, just like what happened with me. But you have to remember that all these people that are talking about this are going to have a different experience than you, and they also have a different agenda. A lot of people get that high off of being more powerful than others. You know that. And knowledge is power. And the thing is that they don't want you to read the type of stuff. Like, I've gone over it, but they don't want you to read this. Can't see myself. Hold on. No, they don't want you to read this. And understand, this is the fire and water, which is also within us. Primordial fire and ice, actually. It's ice. Because this is the strongest energy. So in its most volatile form, energy is like fire. You know what I mean? And then in its most negative form, water is ice. So that's how that fire and ice thing. Even with the red and the blue thing. Red, blue. Even within politics. It's on the macro. But on a micro scale, the red and the blue represents your left and right. And what do they do when they combine those two colors? It makes purple. Now, of course, these Illuminati shitheads are going to turn everything around, pervert it, and make it, completely wrong and confusing, because they'll never achieve that. That's why. So they have to imitate it, mock it, make fun of it, and, degenerate it, because they're degenerates. Right? They also have the opportunity to change every day. They don't. They like that. So when they say knowledge is power, they don't want you to gain stuff like this. Stuff like this, the spiritual hierarchies and the physical world. That's what it talks about, joining the spiritual hierarchies. Now, he says, or she, I don't know what, I think this might be a guy. It doesn't matter. The small grays seem to be the fetchers and carriers. Yes, what I call EB, or some people know them as EBEs. quite commonly, they're the small little fellows with really white skin and those almond eyes. I drew him in my painting. He's right here. He's hiding and playing games. Oh, I just seen it. Okay, there. He's here. I made him a little bit more gray, but they are quite light. Okay, these ones here, and then you can see them a little differently. There's some. Can I see myself? Hold on. Yeah, there's some. My blue suit. Okay, there's the little fellas. Okay, and one more right there. So they're quite small. Well, to me, he's cute, and he's quite light there. So you can see what he really looks like there, because I drew his skin color. He's quite light. But sometimes he wears his little suit, sometimes not. And I see this in the spirit form when I'm asleep. He's my helper, brings me play, but I don't remember exactly what happens. Okay? You're not really allowed to remember everything. So, and it is for your own protection and for the protection of the whole thing, okay? So yes, they're the little EBEs, or the little helpers, I call them. The tall ones are the ones that do the questioning and experiments. Yes, they normally do oversee things, but they don't do normally the work themselves. Mostly because they're more intimidating looking. You have to remember, you're going to have beings of the black kundalini and the light kundalini. They're going to be the same species, just like human beings. There's going to be people who do black kundalini who are evil as fuck. The same with those beings out there. It doesn't matter what you look like. So even if you are a tall gray, and we're going to go over that in my next video, okay? We're going to talk about Vril. And that's the content I lost. I did all of part 1, and then V conked out, lost my content. I did it all off script and everything. It was awesome. Gone. But this is how we triumph over evil. I was like, nope, not going to let the devil win today. I will do that again, okay? But, so, just because you have one of these and you have certain experiences, you're going to find, like, just because you have, it's the same as humans. So you're going to have good humans and not good, okay? And it's the same thing with them. A lot of these beings do spiritual surgeries, these gray types, okay? And they're different sizes and different types, but they are a part of the spiritual hierarchy and they have a job to do. Some of them are like 500 years old and cranky as fuck. So they've just kind of like become numb to things sometimes. And I have to remind beings like, hey, you think you'd be a little nicer about that? Like, they kind of forget sometimes. Some of them do it on purpose because they're just a nasty asshole. But you're going to have, it doesn't matter what they look like. They're all going to be different. And that's the thing of it. This is why we're all having different, it doesn't mean that you're good or bad or blah, 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 blah. There's all these other different beings out there. So even if it's a tall one, the tall grays, questioning experiments, right? Some people have had kind experiences. Now, I have so much going on that I've never seen the big ones like that. But the little ones I have. But it goes on to say the blondes I've come across are just ignorant bastards. A lot of the ones you're dealing with would be like the elves and the fairies. They are arrogant bastards. A lot of the time they are. Yeah, they are. You'll see that in movies with the elves in Lord of the Rings. Kind of like that. Because they are a little bit like that. Some of them. Yeah. Again, they're old. They're the Eldars. They're elders. They're basically our elders. So in some Asian cultures, they respect their elders. They take care. It's the same thing. It's, if I were to meet them, I'd still bow respectively. You see what I'm saying? They're older than you. They've had more experience and whatnot. You know? Yeah. So the thing about it is they're all not going to be the same though. You know, some of them you're going to find they don't like humans very much, because you have to remember, if it is a fairy, right, basically, or an elf, look what we've done to this place. The littering and all the damage we've done. Look at the way we behave. I don't think they'd be very happy working with the inmates either, would you? How many of those correctional officers get sick of going to jail every day? Fuck you, officer! Imagine what that's like every day. I watched this story that gave me a giggle. I mean, I felt sorry for the fella, but this fella was talking about a story where he was abducted, okay? But this is in the spirit body. It happens in your spirit body. It's not happening to your physical body. Now, your spirit body and your physical body are connected. So sometimes, you know, but then again, they can become physical. So just because that's never happened to me, what the fuck? I can't say. Sorry about my language today. I'm trying not to. But yeah, so some of these ones, they're old, they're cranky, and I'm sure they get tired of their jobs. But it's what you get after you graduate from here. Everyone gets a job. That's what it says in my books here, which I'm going to show you what they are, which people don't want you to read this thing. So initiation is connected to this. Initiates the flame. And this is this spark of the divine that's within you that you must cultivate and grow. So these beings are the same as us, and they've gone through these same kind of initiations at one time or another. And I mean, it's like, who was on that ship that I saw in 2017? One of them. One of these beings that's risen their Christos. It was an incredible feeling. Incredible feeling to know that you're being looked at. I didn't know by what at the time, but it was a person. May not look like me. May look like a gray or something else, but it doesn't matter. You see? I know that they exist. I felt it. Yeah? And going through my own experience, right? It's okay for whatever. If you don't want to, I don't blame you, because it really does come down to experience. Once you experience things, it changes you forever. It doesn't matter if people believe me or not, that I saw that and what happened in 2017, right? It was for me. It was a gift. You know? It's one of the best gifts you could ever be given. So it says, I do know there are countless other dimensions, and I used to be able to jump out of my body. I could do this more or less at will. It was my favorite thing to do in life. Yeah, a lot of us, when they figure out we can do that, it's awesome. There was nothing better. Okay? But sadly, I've had this ability taken away from me by one of them blonde units. Now, the counselors in blue, they wear blue suits, and they're normally counselors. They do what's best for you, but also what's best for the rest of the universe as well. You can't be out there like a wild coyote. Yippee-ki-yay! You're dangerous. I know you don't think so. Maybe you wouldn't mean any harm, but it's also to protect you from what's out there. There are soul eaters out there. It's not a joke. They will consume you. They're going to follow you the fuck home. It's dangerous. Yeah. You can go to places and pick things up and bring them back to your world. It's very serious business, and that's why education's so important. But like I said, the deception's so high, I don't know, like, how people will do it. It's not that I don't have faith, but I don't know. This is why I feel like I've come into existence, to kind of balance the scales in a way, I guess. I don't know. So the ability wasn't taken. It's put on pause until you learn how to use it properly, like what happened with me. You will go through some years of some time until things clear. Like, I had to be completely stopped for over a year. I didn't even dream. And it was because without my knowledge, and the only reason why I'm not in more trouble is because I didn't know what I was doing, but I was turning into the Asura, and I was causing problems. Okay? I was a problem. Thankfully, because these people will do everything possible to help you. They really are. In some cases, Elena Danan's interpretation has truth to it. And they do help people and they do rescue people. They do. But there is a big non-interference thing. There is, because they don't want to interfere in your development, the way that it would naturally progress. It's very important. And so sometimes when I'm talking about this stuff, I think about that. But then again, look at what all these people are doing. I think about that guy that's in town that used to be my friend, that UFO fella. He was so upset that he'd been studying for 30 years and they had never come to visit him. He was so mad at me, like I did it on purpose to him or something. You know what I mean? He mentioned it all the time. But I told him, I said his name, and I was sincere. I was like, the only difference I can see between us, we've got all the same knowledge, we've studied the same stuff, you know what I mean, respectively. I said, but you're not spiritual, and I am. That's the only difference, and I was right? I didn't know how to explain it to him any further than that, but that's the only difference I could tell between us. They didn't have any spiritual beliefs at all. None. Was it, oh, I'm not into that. Well, you've got a spirit. How can you not be into it? I went British there a little bit. But it says, going places I shouldn't and seeing things I shouldn't. Yeah, that's why. And like I said, we are prison inmates, so we really have to be monitored closely. You can hurt people out there, you know? There's different dimensions, different places. And you think that, oh, I can't do, yes, you can. You can do harm. So, I do believe there are interdimensional beings that watch us from time to time. I think that's when the shadow people are. Yeah. Shadow people are beings out of your light spectrum vision. So you can't see them because we only have the ability to see a certain spectrum of light, and they are out of that. The dimensions have a lot to do with the separation of light, like a prism. Light that hits a prism and separates into color. That's why dimension also has to do with color and sound. Yeah. So, energy, frequency, vibration. That's what it has to do with. So, where was I? Oh, that's what the shadow people are. Yeah, they're out of our range of vision dimensionally. So, now, you'll be able to feel sometimes, like if something's darker. A lot of the times, though, this is why they just run away. If they even do realize that you've spotted them. Because sometimes what will happen is the dimensional spaces might cross over a little bit, and they may not be aware that you see them at all. Because that's happened to me before. Where I'm like, what the? And they don't know. It's like a person doing something in their kitchen chopping vegetables, but it's the shadow person at the end of a fucking hallway. That's in another dimensional reality. That's what they're doing in the space over top of my space at that time. That's the only way I can figure that out, okay? But yeah, that's what they are. Sometimes they'll be good, sometimes they'll be bad. Normally it's curiosity. They will just dart away and run away because they don't want to cause any negative effect, right? They're just curious a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. If it's parasitical, you'll usually know, right? Because they'll do things to scare you and cause that energy to be produced in your home, right? They want that to feed on that. So they'll be slamming the doors and opening the cupboards and making weird noises and running up and down your stairs and shit on purpose to scare you. Okay? They know. Okay? They know what they're doing. And so that's how they feed. Again, I know about this because of in my spirit body, right? Like I'm not seeing this now. When I was a kid, I would see shadow people more than I do now. I can't remember the last time I saw that. You know, just walking around being like, whoa. You know? Mm-mm. When I was a kid, there was a lot, my power, I guess, was stronger, whatever. More sensitive to that. Um, but of course, I could be wrong. You're not wrong. Uh, I've seen them quite a few times, just quietly watching, but then they bolt away quickly when noticed. Should have read this further. They don't seem bad to me, you're right. Any thoughts of them, things would be greatly appreciated. Oh, right. Okay, so I've answered it. Um, yeah, there are hidden. Okay, I've accidentally come across hidden military bases from time to time. Yep, they are. There's everywhere, even in my area. Um, some of them are decommissioned, though, but at one time. Yeah, one time. They may have moved it, though. They move things so that people can't fucking find them. Or maybe it's just maybe for a better location. There could be that, too. But anyway, or they go deeper underground. Anyway, but there are definitely secret hidden military bases that deal with this kind of stuff, that are working with these UFO and these beings of the higher society, the advanced civilization, the breakaway civilization. That's what they are. But beings on both sides, right? So you have light and dark forces, right? Uh, Maybe going into Satan's little season might be a bit much, but that's what the millennial reign is. That would be the reign of Christ for 1,000 years. I do post about it on my Telegram, but that's kind of what proved to me, yeah, I was right. We're in hell. We're in Satan's little season. And they do. So they work with some of them. I don't know which to what degree. I think a lot of them are just observers and visitors of the way that our planet is progressing. Like they talk about these aliens just coming to see how we're doing, basically. And that is true. But they're not aliens. They're just ancient beings that have found this tech. It's easier for them. And it's safer, I would suppose. You know? They can walk around, I'm sure, among us in the unseen realm. But I don't know. I don't know everything about it. I've never been able to shake hands with one of them yet. I do expect to one day. Yeah. I think and feel. I feel it more so because there's lots of things that I think, but especially because I finally figured out what that light was, I do have a good feeling about it. So I'm hopeful. But it's okay if it doesn't happen. I've come to terms with I've worked really hard because I wanted to get out of here so bad. Whether it be I never reincarnate back here again like this in a time like this. Like I work my way up in consciousness so that I don't ever have to experience this again. That was the whole point of it. And it pushed me so far that I just kept searching and searching. Especially when I had that experience with feeling that person, regardless of whether they're a human person or not, they're still people of their own people. And I remember coming to terms with that with aliens. Like, it doesn't matter where they come from, really. They're still people. May not be human people, but they're still people. They're all going to be different, like we're different, but they're still people, right? Whether it's an elf, a fairy, a gnome, and this is what goes into the elementals. You will find out this stuff in here. It talks about it in here. I've only read, I think, 2 chapters fully and completely. One was about the sun, the solar deity on the sun, and all the symbolism of the sun, and the colors of the sun. It goes to do with the light spectrum and everything. And the spiritual and mental bodies of the sun and all this. And then there's another chapter in here. This is The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. And the best chapter that helped me probably the most, like you don't have to read the whole book, I didn't, but it's helpful. It's one of the best books I've ever gotten. It's an encyclopedia, really. And the chapter was The Elements and Their Inhabitants, which are elementals. So they're another type of interdimensional being. But there's all kinds of them. Now, the ones that live underground would be earth beings, gnome-like, small. Small. The ones that live on the top of mountains, air beings. Fairies, fae. Yeah, of the air. Some of them live in volcanoes. They're of fire. But they use the UFOs because it's easier. They're still people. They come from somewhere, you know? Just because they are not meant for or made of our dimension here and now, fuck, I wouldn't want to be either. That's why they don't like coming here. Because this is a prison. It's a rehabilitation place. We're all a bunch of inmates here. But we're working our way up to be rehabilitated to get out there into the universe with them. They all don't have a negative opinion of us, you know? I spent time with all kinds of them, cranky and non-cranky, old and older and not so old. But, you know, they're all vastly different, just like you and I are. And everybody else. We're all uniquely different. So are they. And that's why the experiences are going to be different. Okay? So, that was the end. I always appreciate questions I do want to help. I do. I spent so long in a tornado of WTF is going on that I think it's very torturous. I don't think it should be this hard. And I believe that those beings that said we oppose deception, I mean, I agree. And they said, what was it? I'll find it when I come back. And we're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back. Hold on.